In the most recent matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Matthew Stafford only played 4 snaps when he was sidelined for the remainder of the game with what appears to be an ankle injury. Now, this has been a tough year for Stafford so far because he's already dealing with partially torn ligaments in his hand, and he's also been dealing with damage to his rib cage. On top of this, unfortunately, it looks like he will also add an ankle injury to the list when he was being pulled backwards by a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defender, and it appeared that he had twisted his ankle. Now, right after the injury, Stafford was observed to limp and hardly put any weight through that foot because he was in noticeable pain. However, once he came out from the locker room, he seemed to get a pretty heavy tape job to that ankle, but he was inactive for the remainder of the game. Now, because this ankle injury seemed to happen on very little contact, people have been wondering, why did he sit out the remainder of the game? Welcome back, football fans. For those of you that aren't familiar with my channel, my name is Nick Gallo, and I am a doctor of physical therapy. With today's video, I'm going to take a close look at that ankle injury that Matthew Stafford sustained against their most recent matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want to take a look at this injury specifically because although it doesn't appear to be a very serious one, it is a very common mechanism of injury and could potentially lead to some very serious problems. First, I'm going to start off by showing the actual injury video so that we get a good visualization for the mechanism of injury. Then I want to go over the specific anatomy involved for this particular injury. And finally, I want to talk about why I believe Stafford sat out for the remainder of the game and give an appropriate timeline for his recovery. If you like today's video and you find it informative, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more videos in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave that in the section below. Now to begin, let's take a look at that specific mechanism of injury.
The Detroit Lions call a pass play and Stafford drops back for a pass. As soon as the play is over, we see Stafford limping and favoring his leg. Here we see that as Stafford throws, he's pulled back by the Tampa Bay defender and he seems to roll his right ankle. We can see here that his right foot is in a position known as plantar flexion, and then he rolls his ankle inward in a position known as inversion. This is a very common position known for ankle sprains. After getting evaluated, we see Stafford getting taped on the sidelines. Now there are 2 ankle sprain positions. One is inversion like we saw with Matthew Stafford, and another one is known as eversion. In the eversion position, the foot is going to rotate outwards. However, the inversion position, the foot is going to rotate inwards. Therefore, based on positioning, we can tell that Matthew Stafford was in the inversion ankle sprain position when he got injured. Now, when a person's ankle goes into an inversion ankle sprain positioning, it's going to stress the 3 ligaments on the outside of the ankle. These are the anterior talofibular ligament, the posterior talofibular ligament, and the calcaneofibular ligament. When a person's foot is in that plantar flex position with the toes pointed downward, and they also go into inversion, this really stresses the anterior talofibular ligament, also known as the ATFL for short. There are also bones, tendons, and other structures that are stressed while in the inversion ankle sprain position. Therefore, if enough force is placed while in this position, these other structures can be damaged as well. Due to the fact that we saw Stafford get evaluated, get his ankle taped, and he remained on the sidelines, this shows us that there are not many other structures involved at this time. It's also important to note that although Matthew Stafford did not play in the remainder of the game, he was observed to weight bear through that extremity for the remainder of the game on the sidelines. Typically, if a player is going to have a very serious injury, they are going to leave the stadium for immediate medical treatment and they are going to be in non-weight bearing status.
So to recap, as Stafford was being pulled backwards by that Tampa Bay defender, his foot went into a position known as plantar flexion with the toes pointed downwards. Then, as he went to put weight through that foot, the ankle actually went into another motion known as inversion where the ankle went inwards. This is a position that we commonly associate with an ankle sprain. Now, when the ankle goes into inversion while plantar flex, it stretches a ligament on the outside of the ankle known as the anterior talofibular ligament, or ATFL for short. Now, there are 2 other ligaments on the outside of the ankle. The first is the calcaneofibular ligament and the posterior talofibular ligament, or PTFL for short. Now, in this position, a person is also at risk for having damage to tendons, bones, and other anatomical structures that are in that area. Fortunately, at this time, it does not appear that Stafford has anything that is considered serious because he was taped up and then we saw him putting weight through that lower extremity for the remainder of the game. It has also been reported at this time that the Detroit Lions do not consider this a very significant injury for Matthew Stafford. Therefore, I expect Stafford to make a full recovery from this, and depending on how the week goes, he has a very good chance of playing next week. If any more details come out about this injury, I'll make an update for everybody so that they can see what is exactly going on with this specific injury. However, at this point, it's looking that it is pretty minor. And that's it as of right now for Matthew Stafford's ankle injury against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once again, if you like today's video and you find it informative, please hit that subscribe button because I will be making more videos in the future. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.